Hello and welcome to Conscious Renegades. I am True Love. This is Brooke. And today we are going to be discussing social media. So anything from how it can be used, how it is being used today, the positive effects, the negative effects, and the potential use that we can move into if we become conscious users.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting conversation for us because it's essentially what we're trying to do here at Conscious Renegades. And our story starts, what really made us have this conversation was that we recently attended the 26th Annual Empowerment Congress, which was a debate between all of the gubernatorial candidates for the state of California. We have our election coming up in just a little bit of time, just a couple months. There was a man there who was repping his giant Trump flag, and he was so loud and just stopping so much progress from happening in the debate. And then after, he was holding up his giant flag, live streaming himself to his Facebook. He had a crowd of people around him that were begging to know, why do you support Trump? Can you give us some talking points? Why are you so passionate, dude? And he couldn't. He was so distracted and he was flabbergasted that someone would possibly be asking him for his point of view. And he was like, I can't, I'm busy live streaming. And we were like, but you're live streaming, spreading a message. What is your message?
Exactly. So, and we started talking about the fact that there's so many people online who are waving red flags, like, come look at me, come follow my channel. And that's essentially, what we're doing as well, so I get it. But if you're going to build that type of platform, what are you going to use it for? What are you going to say? And I think asking yourself that before you start your project is something that's not happening a lot. I think that there's huge room for that right now. I mean, if you look at Logan, what was his last name?
Logan Paul, YouTuber Logan Paul.
And I don't even want to use him by name because I don't even want to continue to perpetuate what he's spreading.
His power.
But if you think about it, he is the prime example of how social media is being misused. So if you've got 15 million followers, right? 15 million followers.
Something like that.
And you're doing nothing but spreading atrocities, like not respecting other cultures, not respecting people who have had serious traumas in their life already, and spreading it around in order for personal gain. It just seems so upside down.
Yeah, that's a beautifully succinct way to put it. It's upside down. It's just a misuse of something that is so powerful. I recently spoke to a man who was in prison. And he was in solitary confinement for 5 years. And he went to jail for marijuana, actually. Can you believe that? Had a life sentence for pot. Anyways, he enlightened me to the fact that when he was in solitary confinement, he couldn't talk to anyone. He had no communication. And it's just very simple that man's basic gift and right is being able to speak and to communicate. And if you look at where we are today in 2018, what is that form of communication? Yes, we still have interpersonal conversations, but much of it is on the internet. So much of it is social media.
Right.
So how can we use that communication for something of an extraordinary magnitude to move people, to motivate people, to inform people? And what we like to do here is edutain, which is educating and entertaining.
So I think one of the things that we should also kind of rewind and talk about, because I think we need to talk about social media as a whole, the positives and negatives. Obviously, social media has been absolutely crucial in organizing people in groups. I mean, I know that when I first got active, it was a group online that was organizing people for the the ban on the Muslim ban.
Just kidding.
And I went directly to the airport because they were like, we need an emergency protest right now. Get here immediately. And I even ended up picking up a friend on the way through social media. She said she wanted to go and she didn't have a ride. She was on my way. So I was like, I'm going to scoop you up. And it ended up being a Muslim girl. And we listened to the Quran on the way to LAX, and she explained about what it was saying, and it was such a beautiful experience. So social media can be used for positive things. So
especially when it comes to getting people behind a cause.
Right.
And informing people about, a lot of it is like a protest and different marches and things like that. That's a really incredible way to rally people. So I want to rally people behind incredibly insightful and empowering information and tools. And Kim Kardashian, you ain't doing that. I mean, look at the number one family right now. And this is not to slander anyone. Like, we are careful.
I think she's just kind of like the caliber of where we are right now.
Absolutely.
You know, because
Donald Trump himself is using Twitter.
Right.
Was able to single-handedly revive Twitter. I mean, that was a
dead platform.
Ship, quite frankly. And then you have someone who's... I know plenty of people who are not Trump supporters, but use Twitter and follow him, further fueling his fire, because they're interested in what the man's going to say. And he's using social media to blast out his point of view almost exclusively. Like, how do you hear about things that Donald Trump has done? Mostly firsthand through him.
In all fairness, I have to say I do appreciate his transparency. As atrocious as it is, at least he's not behind closed doors shaking hands like all of our other previous governments.
That's a great point.
So I can, you know what, there's always going to be a silver lining to everything. Where I think, and this is what I see, because I'm in the beauty industry, I've been a makeup artist for umpteenth years.
She did my makeup.
And Oh, we got a siren. Yeah.
That's a positive sign,
LA,
right?
But I see influencer marketing. Like, what is influencer marketing? The word influencer means that you're influencing something. And to use that word in a marketing sense, you're only influencing the continuation of consumerism. And that to me is something that just is like nails on a chalkboard every time I hear about influencer marketing. And I'm like, you're not influencing anything but perpetuation of a consumerist society, which is crumbling beneath our fingers. Companies are getting more and more desperate to get these influencers to sponsor their product. And it's tough because, like, these are avenues that you and I will probably use, but at the same time, you know, it's like, so I can only hate on it so much. But the thing is, what if we were to use the platform for influencing something more than just purchasing things?
And it takes a lot of us to revolutionize the way things are.
It totally does.
We could sit here and have so much wishful thinking, which we do, but it takes an army to move the needle sometimes. And especially something like, goddess damn, like something like social media, we're all a part of it. So it requires all of us to participate in redefining its use and acknowledging its misuse.
Absolutely. And I think that there's so many opportunities because this is such a new discussion, you know, like there hasn't been actually a lot of discussion about blatantly being more conscious and how you participate in these platforms. You know, being completely aware about what you're putting out there and the consequences of that. I think that we've become almost a consequence-less society. You know? Burn. I know. It's true. But if you think about it, you know, we're so busy trying to get attention out there. We're so busy, like, you know, I want to sell clothes, but how much sexuality can I spin into my Instagram marketing so that I'm really getting the people who are interested in staring at my curves rather than my product? Mm-hmm. Or maybe they might pay attention to my product because I have these curves. And it's like, cool, you know, and that gets into obviously a discussion that we won't talk about today, which is that fine line between empowering yourself and owning your sexuality as a woman, and then exploiting it.
Absolutely.
Which is a conversation for another day. But I think it does tie into how we're digesting our social media and what social media is perpetuating by the fact that followers are today's modern day cryptocurrency.
But you just reminded me of the fact, okay, so I'm an actress and a host, and I have lost jobs before and not been considered for jobs because
you don't have followers.
I don't have enough followers. So
right.
We're quantifying how many people are paying attention to me rather than I have 1 million people paying attention to me, but what the flip am I saying? So I think companies and brands and businesses can also be a part of that conversation. Who are you choosing to represent your product or your mantra or whatever it is? Can you instead choose someone who only has 50 followers, who has soul and passion and integrity and grace and will positively impact maybe a smaller group of people, but actually
stand for what you stand for as a company.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, you get into this conundrum where, the markets are getting more saturated, and the companies, in order to continue on this exponential growth, which is capitalism, have to find new avenues to reach people that they haven't found, the ability to reach yet. So, this concept that we have to continue to grow and continue to build, which is frankly unrealistic. I mean, that's just a frank fact that we need to accept as society at some point. But it's really requiring these companies to go into avenues that maybe they probably aren't in alignment with their brand, simply in order to get the market. I mean, and I could go off in so many different directions with that too. Oh my gosh. But the reality is, I'm a makeup artist. I've been a makeup artist for almost 14 years. And I didn't really spend a lot of time building up my following because I've been a professional, and professionals don't have time. They don't have the time, or they're contractually obligated not to post until a certain time. And by the time the contract says I can post, I've forgotten about it. So in the meantime, I'm losing jobs to the people who've, in their earlier 20s, who are just starting off with their career, who have all the time in the world, who do makeup on themselves really well. And that doesn't necessarily say that they've got the professional practices, that they have an humble nature, that they know how to treat their clients.
The humble nature. Probably means they don't have.
Probably means they don't. I mean, and here's the thing is when social media, when followers are this currency, and the new millionaire is the person who's got the million followers, which is essentially true, because if you've got 1 million followers, you've got access to everything. You get products for free, you get sponsorships, you get invited to opportunities, you get new jobs, you get traveling, you get all this stuff. So we're perpetuating a self-fulfilling prophecy, essentially, is that we're really celebrating these people who are really kind of perpetuating.
They're like weights on our ankles.
Individual self-promotion. And I really feel like because social media is a network of the entire globe, or anybody who's got access to the internet, I think it's time that we be more mindful about what exactly we're spreading and what words are being used. And because they have an impact. And I think that, we really need to talk about that.
And representing authenticity and what is genuinely coming from an individual, rather than the notion of what is your brand? How can you possibly be so niche that you are nothing else but this small category of, I'm a California girl that drinks wine and has a poodle, and that's everything that I do. It's that's not everything that you do. I know that you cry. I know that you have bad days. And I know that I definitely pull that kind of shit too on social media. That's we've all heard that conversation that people are putting on a show and they're not showing the bad days. But I've actually seen a lot of this through my Instagram wormholes. Hope you've been there. The girls that are showing look, I actually have this scar on my face that I'm photoshopping out on every single one of my pictures. Or here's my before and here's my after. I actually used to be kind of unhealthy and wasn't living the best life. And I want to show my fans that this is a reality too. And I think those are really powerful, really, really, really cool tactics that people are doing to connect us all. Because, as we were talking about earlier, the internet is a massive web of infinite connectivity, as is the brain, the human brain, all of our neurons. Everything is working in a symbiotic nature, and it's all woven as one, as is human consciousness. So, not to give it a little too much power, but you could look at the internet as a manifestation of the collective consciousness.
It totally is.
And I want it to be something beautiful, and sure, there can be shadow in that, but something that works for all of us and doesn't make you feel less than when you participate in it. And I feel like that's what a lot of people, when I go on Instagram, I'm like, yeah, whoa, she's hot. Whoa, I don't look like that. Oh my God, what am I doing with my life?
Well, and it's the truth, but then at the same time, though, I spend so much of my time really deliberately spending my time trying to make a legitimate impact. And I really think that what we really aim to do here is take the impact that we're doing, because we're both a part of a group called Revolution LA, which is an activist group here in Los Angeles, and we'll get more into that later. And there's a whole lot of really cool stuff going on with that.
Definitely check that out, Revolution LA.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, it's time for us to really evaluate the positives and negatives, where we are, where we could go. So, and I think that that's essentially what we really want to do with the show, is to take a concept of how we can use social media for empowering people to really make real change. So some of the things that we're going to be talking about is providing new perspectives, new angles to some of the issues that we face today.
Yeah, we want to be... So, I mean, we're participating,
We're
using social media. We're using YouTube. We're using Facebook. We're using all of it because that's our modern form of communication. That's the way that we're able to express our truths and participate in conversation with you guys, because we know them outside of this camera lens. We know that there's people that are hungry for this kind of community and this kind of shared perspective, and being able to collaborate on ideas that push us all forward and push forward all of our agendas that will will create change, will change the world. And we want to be the real influencers, the positive influencers. And if you're a positive influencer out there, let us know, because we want to grow our community. And we're not the only two people out there that are trying to make YouTube videos that say something of substance.
Not at all. But what we really do want to build is a tribe of people who believe in making a more conscious effort to make a positive impact. So that being said, if you're doing something out in the world that's amazing and you want us to feature it, then hashtag Conscious Renegades or hashtag The Real Influencers, and we will find you and we will do a little shout out. Maybe we can even do an interview about what your experiences are with the work that you're doing, and give a shout out to some of the people who have really made a positive impact in your experience getting active. Because I have to tell you, getting involved is fun. It's fun, and you meet other people, such as this queen here, who are driven together by cause. And a lot of our friendships, I think, are really developed out of proximity. You develop a lot of friends simply because you happen to be around them, or you happen
especially
to go to
here in LA.
Yeah, right. So you get in your little pockets. And when I got involved with activism, it was like all of a sudden we had these shared ideas about how we're going to take on the system and how we're actually legitimately going to formulate a path to creating this as a reality. And being surrounded by friends who are brought together by purpose, I have to tell you, is one of the most enriching experiences in my life. I really feel like I have roots here in LA.
There's a way to make this stuff cool. So be a part of our movement, you guys. Find us online, find us at Conscious Renegades, and make sure that you use the hashtag Conscious Renegades, hashtag The Real Influencers, hashtag Love Your Selfies.
Gotta speed, Renegades.